we are going to have an introduction and for most a reintroduction of two amazing people who I get to call partners who are at Florida Freedom Title. So we have Betsy Wilkinson and Mike Harper who are joining us today. And I have asked them to join in to tell us about the exhilarating life of title insurance in Florida. So welcome and thanks for coming on today.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We are greatly appreciative to be here and to be your partner. You're a great partner to have. Obviously, we would like to partner up with every single one of you realtors out there to be your liaison. If you have any questions regarding title insurance, why it's important, maybe some of the information about what comes up if this happens or if this happens. I know Samantha and I have gone through a lot of stuff like that. And it's been great to have the perspective of the realtor as well as the perspective of the title agent so that you know how you guys can help each other and make it get to the closing table so everybody is happy. And obviously we all get paid, which is what we're all looking for, a little bit of cash in our pocket. I wanted to give you just a little information of some stuff that has come up in the market recently in regards to title insurance. One of the reasons why somebody's going to want to get title insurance, because from the day of closing until the day the property is recorded, the title insurance policy has to cover that. It's called the gap period. Probably you guys all know this information, so if I'm redundant, I apologize.
Don't assume that we know anything, Betsy. Don't assume we know anything. Yeah.
So this just recently happened. There was a closing. The title agent got a payoff, and the payoff was completed. It was sent to the lender. The title agent sent the seller all their funds. They dispersed all the money. The realtor got paid. All the money was dispersed. Everything was done. And approximately 2 weeks after, the title agent normally looks to see that satisfaction of mortgage. When we look to see that satisfaction of mortgage, that satisfaction was not there. We call the lender to find out what happened. During that little gap period, the homeowner's insurance, which was escrowed, got paid to the homeowner's insurance company. The homeowner's insurance company knew that it was a canceled insurance policy. They then sent the funds to the seller to the tune of $6,000. So the payoff ended up being $6,000 short. So who's responsible to pay that $6,000? The title agent. It's their responsibility, yet we're going to reach out to the seller because they did sign an affidavit stating that, yes, everything was done. We did call the homeowner. The homeowner did, in fact, deposit the money, and they spent it because they needed something for their new property and didn't realize that they should be giving the money back. But ultimately, the title insurance policy, that they're the ones on the hook for it. So whether they talk to the seller and try to handle it, and most sellers are very accommodating and get it done, but some do not. But that's one good reason why you want your buyers to have title insurance. It gets paid in full. Another item that came up is a tax bill came out. The tax collector stated no taxes are due. And yet here comes a tax bill out, and the tax collector says, wait, I need this money. And this was 2 years ago when the person had homestead, and then they decided that, well, they didn't decide. The person passed away, then there wasn't homestead anymore. So now they taxed it at a higher bracket. And that one happened to be almost $1,800. And again, the title policy has to pay for that and get that taken care of. They are going to work with the seller. They are going to, work with the agent and just say, hey, this is what's going on, just so that you're aware. But that's why you have title insurance. So those are two little reasons that just recently happened that I was made aware of that I would like you all to be aware of. So maybe it will help you to know why we need title insurance for your buyers.
Yeah, that's a super good point, and that's really on the insurance portion of everything. But you also add a tremendous amount of value in the transaction before the policy is issued, because of the searches that take place. That's where the majority of the potential problems come out, right? And
Yep.
so what Florida Freedom Title did, it's actually on the current transaction, and most on this call are aware of my issues that I'm having, where we had 3 unpermitted sheds on the property, and there are outstanding fines against the seller, that the court has mandated in excess of $30,000. And so imagine a scenario where it's a cash deal where a buyer can choose, like, hey, no, I don't want title insurance. They can choose that. But let's say that scenario happened, and now this buyer just took on all of that liability without knowing about that. And so, sometimes we don't want to hear the news that the title company has for us. And so that deal is being extended for a couple of months to deal with all those issues. But we talked about operating in integrity earlier in this meeting, and that is the truth. Like, this is the reality of what's going on in this property. Let's create a plan to be able to work through that, and that's where they come in handy. It's a huge component to the entire transaction.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes. And we try to find all of those beforehand. You don't want to have to find something out after the closing. And it's good to have somebody in the industry who's been in it a long time. I know I don't look very old, but I've been in the industry for over 35 years, and I have seen a lot of stuff and been in the ups and downs of the title market and real estate market, and just so use our expertise to answer any questions you guys may have, even if you don't have a contract right now or pending. If you just have a question about some stuff, we're here for you. So
That's awesome. Much appreciated. And they're on top of everything that's coming down the pipeline. So number one of the things that happened recently is that we had the foreign buyer, the new foreign buyer laws and rules that came into place. And as part of that, the title company is ultimately responsible for having the buyer sign an affidavit stating that they're not from one of the countries of concern. And so, FFT is what we refer to it as, but Florida Freedom Title was all over that and got with the underwriters, and the underwriters provide the exact, affidavit that is acceptable to them to sign, because so many title companies don't have that ready to go. And the state of Florida, it was a very quick law, that came into place, and the state of Florida should typically say, here's what we need, but they didn't. They just say you have to have one, and everybody's like, well, what does that need to be? And so they're all over it and have that ready, just to make sure that we're in compliance, and that there's not going to be any legal issues from that perspective down the road.
Yep, we do a lot of training. I'm going to training again this week up in Orlando, just to be knowledgeable about any new stuff coming up and what's happening with FLTA, with Alta, with title insurance, all of that stuff, just so that we can be proactive instead of reactive.
That is really awesome. Mike, could you tell us a little bit about the app that Florida Freedom Title has to be able to help with net sheets, etc.?
Sure. Excuse me. Have they seen the form yet, by any chance?
When you say form, do you mean
The flyer?
Well, again, we've got some new people on that probably have not.
Okay. I'll make sure I get that over to you. And then if you could just kind of disperse it out. What it is in our marketing, we have a flyer where we've built a QR code to where you can download onto your phone, whether it's Android or iPhone, an app to where you can sign in, and whether you're a buyer's agent, listing agent, it will produce a net sheet. And the nice thing about it is there's pretty much every scenario in there. Even FIRPTA's in there as well. So if you do have a foreign seller, there is a drop down for FIRPTA, which will throw on the extra 15% charge to them, to where your net sheet should be fairly accurate. Now, obviously, if their home happens to be in an HOA, we do have to order an estoppel letter, and that could be anywhere from $250 to $800. So, if you are on the listing side, that may be just something to take into consideration. Yes, you're probably going to get hit with an estoppel fee. I would use an estimate of 500 just to be safe. That way you're a couple $100 either way. But it's a fantastic form or application, I should say. Like I said, you can pull it up, whether it's on your tablet, whether it's on your phone, when you're sitting down with your buyers or your sellers, you can instantly print yourself out a nice little seller sheet or buyer sheet.
I'll just show sort of quickly what that is, because I think that'd be very helpful to see. So I'll give a preview of that. So when you log into the system, this is what you see. There's an Impress Sellers Calculate Now, so you can just click that easy button. But these are all of the different estimates that are possible. So a title quote, a loan estimate quote, closing disclosure quote, a seller net sheet. So on listings, like, people want to know, what am I going to take away from this real estate transaction at the end of the day? This would take into account all of their closing costs. And then sell to net essentially means like, hey, I need to net 400 grand out of this. What sales price do I need in order to net the $400,000? So it sort of works backwards. Multiple offers. So this can help organize multiple offers. There's also buyer estimate, monthly affordability, and a rent versus buy calculator, which I think is really cool as well. I will caution that I would not be I would not use this on buyer side transactions if there's a loan involved, because the lender's going to have their own fees and the lender's going to give them a loan estimate. And so it's much, much better. We can get pretty darn close on a cash purchase by using this. But if there's a loan involved, let the lender take care of what that loan estimate and what their closing costs would be, because you just don't want to get yourself in a situation where you're estimating what a lender is going to charge and you're way off, because that sets the wrong expectations. Primarily, we use this for that seller net sheet, and it's a super simple thing. So if you start typing the address, and this will put in the office address here. And then you can put, is it purchase with financing or purchase with cash? Doesn't make too much of a difference there. Let's say that it's $500,000. Here's our closing date. This is what Mike was talking about as far as, are you a foreign seller or not? And who pays title for this? And you can say who pays it. So, in Collier County, typically the buyer is the one who is paying for title insurance. In Lee County, typically it's the seller who's paying for it. So I'm going to go ahead and put seller only. Let's say that we're living high. Well, let's say that we have a mortgage in here. So it's always helpful to say, do you know what the balance is on the mortgage? And let's say that was 180,000. We put in commissions. It has 3 and 3 on each side, and then a $395 transaction fee. This is the area where Mike was talking about for the estoppel fee. We're also, we can call that a resale certificate. So if we put in $500, if it was in an HOA in there, and then property taxes, if you wanted this to do a proration, you could put in the tax amount, but you don't have to. And then if there's any other expenses, you can add those in. So if they have to pay off a loan for, impact windows that they put in, or if there's any other fees that go with it, that's great. You don't have to know anything about the title fees at all, because the system is pre-programmed with that for you. So from here, what I would do is click calculate. You get a wonderful, easy, the seller net's $282,000 in this scenario. And then you can do a few things with this. Number one, you can download a PDF or you can email it. So it's super simple. And when you download that PDF, I don't know if it'll show me right here. Yeah, it's going to show up a new one that won't be right in here. But it puts together a really nice branded. It's got your face. It's got Mike's beautiful face in there, as far as like, here's a net sheet provided by Gulf Point Properties and Florida Freedom Title. And then it breaks down all of the potential fees that are in there. So super simple. you can't get any easier than that, as far as like, that took me maybe 45 seconds to put that information in. And many times during, I'll do it during a listing appointment if I'm sitting down with somebody and they like need to squeak out this much. We're like, let's run some numbers real quick. And I can just pull up that app, be able to run those numbers and provide that. Super helpful. So something they pay for so that we don't have to, which is great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Just trying to help.
Yeah, appreciate that. Any other comments or questions on that portion of things? All right, great. So in terms of the title insurance and how best to work with you all, Betsy, can you, just give us a little bit of like, hey, assuming nothing, how can we best work with you, communicate with you? What do you need from us?
Okay, well, obviously the first thing that we're looking for is the contract. We would love to have any photo IDs of buyers and or sellers that you have. How can we contact your buyers and sellers? How would you like us to speak with all of you? Would you like us to text you? Would you like us to call you? Would you like an email? What would you prefer? We want to do what's best for you because not everybody works the same exact way. And we want to make it as easiest for you as possible. Our system does automatically send out emails if we put in an email address. If we know that a person doesn't want to receive emails, we'll leave that email address out of there and then it won't ask them to fill in the information. But if you don't let us know this, we are going to assume, right? Not in this business ever do I want to be in a butt. Okay. But anyway, we're going to put in the email addresses and we're going to put in the phone numbers. So it's going to automatically do that. But that's what we're looking for because we do need to vet our sellers. We need to vet our buyers. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fraud that is happening. I am receiving probably daily or every other day new flyers from the underwriters stating exactly this property had fraud on it. This property had fraud. This name is fraudulent. This notary. So the sooner we can get that information, the better we can help you to make sure that we can get to the closing and have those individuals vetted with photo IDs. So
that's great information. One of the things that I have been thoroughly impressed with is the ability and willingness to accommodate special requests. And so that's a really big deal. And, to have the relationship that we do is super helpful for us from a serving mindset, from a serving perspective. And so let's see, I had, first of all, it doesn't matter which county you're in, a rep will go and meet them to sign. They've got locations, and a great relationship with Cogent Bank actually to be able to drop off deposits. So let's say it's in Collier County, the headquarters is in Lee County. There's a deposit check that needs to be made and somebody they don't want to wire the funds, they want to drop a check off. Well, with their relationship with Cogent, they literally just go to the Cogent branch in Naples and drop it off right there. And Cogent knows it's Florida Freedom Title, makes that super streamlined and easy. So there are no logistics problems there. And then a very recent scenario, I had a closing, I think it was last month, and Amy, who works in the office, the closing was for a client in Naples, and they had a very busy work schedule and had to sign, on a specific date with the loan, that drill. And so Amy was like, no problem. How early do they want to meet? I can meet them at their house. And so instead of these people having to, go out of their way during their extremely busy work day, Amy accommodated them and also brought them a nice pie, which was a really nice touch. They were very grateful around that, but accommodated them, was able to help them out in the scenario where they needed to get something done. They needed to go to work. They had no way around it. And that was awesome. Just another example there.
yes, our office is anywhere you need us to be. We take care of the entire state of Florida, but wherever you need us, if it's, maybe in Palm Beach County and you want to do something over there, we're okay with that. We prefer to close either a Monday morning or Friday afternoon, because then we're going to want to spend the weekend over there. But, just saying.
Make a little vacay out of it. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And so with that same information, so let's say that somebody is not in the state of Florida and they are buying or selling a property in the state of Florida. Talk a little bit about the logistics behind that and what the options are if somebody's not local.
So if they are able to sign remotely, which is RON, Remote Online Notarization, we have two notaries who can do that. We can set those up for the seller. They need to have a video and audio, just like this. It's a Zoom type meeting. There's a platform, it's all secure. Documents are going from one location to another very securely so that they can be notarized. We can do that any day, anytime for sellers, as long as they are in the United States. If they are not in the United States, and they're a foreign individual and you have met with them to take their listing, and you may want them, they may be going, say, back to Germany, make sure you give us a call and we'll come and introduce ourselves and meet them so that we can also do the RON for them for Germany, for Canada, for someplace out of the United States, but we will have to meet them as the notary in order to do that. But inside the United States, they're going to answer some questions, some KBA questions. For the buyers, we try to make sure that everybody can sign like Adobe Sign or DocuSign. But if they're getting a mortgage, they're not allowing, most mortgage companies are not allowing you to not sign with wet signatures, which means you cannot sign virtually. We can obtain a notary for them in that location. We can set up with another title agency so that we can still close and disperse on the same day. We can send a mobile notary. Sometimes with the mobile notary, we can close and disperse the same day, which is what we try to do. But we prefer to meet with a different title agency because they are bound by additional laws and obligations as our title agency is. And that way we know that they have to follow that structure. So, but we'll make accommodations, whatever you guys need, whatever your customers need. That's what we're here for, because you can get title insurance anywhere, but you can't get this extra added level of peace of mind unless you come to us.
Just on a side note, just so you guys know, the RON closings and courtesy closings in different states through different title companies, usually that's a charge of somewhere between $150 and $200. I mean, that's just something that we pass along. We get charged that. We just pass it on. The title company really doesn't make any money off of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but if we do it, we don't do that. We don't charge, right?
Yeah, so many times I get this question very often. It's like, do I have to be there for closing? And I'm starting to deal with that on the probate side quite a bit, where the people aren't that familiar with the property of Florida. They don't want to have anything to do with it. They'd rather not come down at all. They assume that they have to come down and sign paperwork for closing. Like, people just assume that. And it's such a big relief when I can tell them, or we can communicate to them, no, you don't. The title company will handle all that, and you don't actually have to do that. I had a conversation last week with somebody to that effect, and it was like, so you're telling me that I don't have to come down there? Like, yeah, it's like, that's great, and it helps sell our services too. We'll help make that easy for them and facilitate that, and they want to work with people who are making it easier on them.
Yep, exactly. Same. I had somebody from Pennsylvania, and they thought they had to fly down. No, I mean, you're welcome to come see this beautiful state, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah, and it's not cold today. It's not cold. All right, so we've got a few minutes left. Any questions for Betsy and Mike?
Hey, don't all ask at once. Wait, just one at a time.
I know. Oh, Tammy's coming alive. Tammy, did you have a question, or you just wanted us to see your face?
No, sorry, just turned my camera back on. Sorry.
Appreciate that. Any questions? I know title insurance is not typically the most exciting, but it's one of the most important things.
It is. It's exciting. I love title insurance. You get to deal with.
That's why you're the best person for the job.
Well, if you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out anytime. Really,
awesome.
here.
I don't have a question, but I just want to chime in with, I have worked with Betsy and Mike for a very long time, pretty much my whole real estate career, I think. And their expertise and competency is unmatched. So I just want to plug that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
I agree. And Samantha has thrown them some curveballs along the way and tested.
No,
She has
no.
tested their competency and expertise. And
No, you mean when that seller didn't move out? What?
Right.
Let's get a team. We'll get
Keep
them.
them on their
We'll get
toes.
some help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marion, good client of mine who everybody knows at this point, she often threatens that we should write a book because of all of the crazy things that have happened over the course of our time together. But that's what makes our career exciting, is that there is always something new to tackle. So it's really, really good stuff.
Yeah, you guys have a tough job. We just sit and wait for you guys to bring us contracts. You guys have to do all the work. We don't have to deal with that part of it. So thank you. Hats off to you.
That's fair. We'll take that. And we rarely get acknowledged.
And if it's any
about that.
consolation, if I had to try to do what you do, I'd just put a gun to my head and call it a day. So, this works for everybody.
See, we each have our own expertise and it works very well.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody noticed that, but Betsy provided some encomium for us. Thank you, Betsy. That was fantastic. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what did you say? Some enconium? Wait, I gotta look that up.
Encomium. We have a word of the week every week, and this
You-
week it was encomium,
Uh-huh.
and that's refers to an expression of glowing and warmly enthusiastic praise. And so we're using the
Wow.
word of the week right here,
Thank
right
you.
now.
Now,
Can
guess what
you
language that word actually exists in, and then we can have
Spell
we
that?
can all be knowledgeable.
Encomium. 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 Beautiful. Well, thank you. You know, we're at our hour here. So, but if anybody has any additional questions that they were just too shy to ask here, how would they get in touch with you?
Our number is 239-791-5873, or you can reach us at closings with an S, CLOSINGS at flfreedomtitle.com.
Fantastic. We also have Amy and Vicky in the office who are on top of everything as well. So good stuff. All right. Wonderful. Thanks for
Thank you.
joining us. Great to see everybody.
Thanks for allowing us to join you. Thank you very much. You guys have a
Appreciate the
great
business.
rest of your day.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
For your
too.
time.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.